You're going to sew 2 strips together. And what I want to point out when you sew 2 strips of fabric together, now I did this so that you could see a little bit what not to do and what to do. If ever you have 2 different fabrics like a batik and one fabric that is not a batik, sometimes you'll get this bow in the fabric. And that's because one of the fabrics is tighter than the other one. And what you want to make sure happens is when you press it, that you want this to be straight. So you can see here, see how crooked that is? See how it has a bow? So when you press it, make a line on your ironing board and make sure it's lined up with the ironing board and press it straight. Now, the other thing you want to be aware of is on this piece here. See how I have made sure that this seam is pressed completely to one side. Now, on this side, I did not do that because I wanted to show you what happens sometimes when I teach a class. People will say, I'm done ironing, but notice here that you can still pull it out a little more. So what I like to do when I'm done pressing on the wrong side is press on the right side and get your iron edge, and just be sure that when you're pressing, kind of get that iron edge and make sure that this is completely open in this seam here. So you don't want that folded edge. You want to be sure it's open. So it will be open like this. And then make sure it is straight. So that's the things I want you to look at for when you press, and you're always pressing towards the dark. The next thing we're going to talk about is making a split diamond. Here's a split diamond. So our split diamond, you can see, goes, the line is not from point to point, but it comes in the same distance from both sides. So that's what we're going to be making next as we go along through here. Okay, you will need to make copies of your templates, and notice that I have a template D and a template C. And you're going to need to make both because one of them is a reverse of the other one. Okay, so you need to make 2 copies. And notice how I've put a red line through here, and that helps you just highlight it with something. So it helps you when you cut your template, what you need to line up. Now you can have a 45-degree diamond acrylic ruler. It just needs to be wider, 3 inches or wider. Or if you have a right angle triangle, this here 45-degree will work on any diamond tip. So if you have the diamond ruler, you can just take this on the back of a diamond ruler, or you can use this right angle. And what you do is you put the tape on the top part of the ruler, and I usually like 4 pieces on the top, and then you're going to place the ruler on top, and you just want to be sure that it is lined up, that you're not cutting off any of the paper. And the thing that kind of helps me in placing this is making sure that your 1/4 inch line is lining up with your 1/4 inch line of the ruler. And you want to be sure that's very straight on there, because if it's tilted just a little bit, you're going to have this edge just will not be quite right. So be sure it's centered on there, nice and flat. And in this case, notice how the tip is off. That's okay, because you're only going to be using this side of the point. So as long as you have this much of your ruler on top of the paper, you're fine. This is the fabric strip that we sewed together. And you're going to line up this red line with the seam line. So as I lay it on this seam line here, and this is what we're making, is a split diamond. And you're only going to cut the two sides. Okay. You're going to take it up and rotate the ruler and cut the other side. Now, if you have an exact 3-inch diamond, you can cut both sides at the same time. But this is how you can do it if you don't have a 3-inch ruler. Now, once this is placed on here, I could come along here and cut up through here, which I'm going to mess up my next diamond. And what you want to happen is if I cut here, it will not mess up the next diamond. So I'm going to cut this way first. And you can go ahead and come off the whole way, pull this aside, and cut the second side. And there is your split diamond. And let me just do another little quick run of that. So I have to turn the ruler around, place the red line where the seam line is. And this side, you usually do want to straighten it up, because when I took that edge off that last cut, I wasn't against a ruler. So do one side, two side, rotate, lay this on the seam line, and here again, I don't want to cut this one because it'll cut up into my diamond, but I can cut this off, pull the fabric away, and cut this side, and there is my diamond. So when you do the D shape, your line is going to be opposite. So you'll want to cut how many you need of one direction and then go and cut the other direction. The other way you can do that is you can do it with a template, but I say that this way is the easiest because you have an acrylic ruler that you can go along the side with.